So this is Longboard technology, and we've had the opportunity to get to ride some of these original trucks, and we wanted to provide some information to you guys about some of the inner workings of this very interesting skateboard product.
All right, so the original truck is not like any other traditional truck on the market, and that is because it is actually a scooter truck design. And I'll get more into that later. But one of the most important differences between your regular kingpin trucks and the original truck is the original truck actually belongs into a family of trucks that we call the bolt pivot trucks. So this is a Roja base plate, and this pin that comes out, this is the pivot that everything on the truck operates on. So that the hanger goes on here and it spins around this pin.
So everything is revolving
around the pin. This is a Ronin hanger, and you see you've got the pivot here, and the kingpin would go here, and it pivots on the pivot, and its pivot location here is fixed by the bushings. So to stop this from moving around, it relies on the bushings to hold it. A bolt pivot truck is fixed on a physical pin. And so what this means is that bolt pivot trucks have a tendency to be really precise with very little slop. All right? So on the original truck, if you look straight at them, see, there's the bolt pin there, and then here the bolt pin goes through here, comes out up here, and this, and then, so this actual hex head size, it's not a standard skateboard size head, and again, the reason for that is probably because
it doesn't use conventional skateboard wisdom in its construction.
It comes from the world of scooters. All right, so that's the pivot right there. This is the pivot. So if I put this back together, and then we compare the two like that, you can see how similar they are. Now the Roja gets its resistance from these donut radial bushings, but the original trucks get the resistance from the spring. And the way it does that is, of course, the spring is oriented inside here, and it has these wave cams. And the wave cam is held in place on the bottom through this slot, which interacts with it fits in place with this tab. And on the top, it's got this slot, which interacts with the hanger.
So that's what locks it into place.
Yeah. So this is the hanger and the axle. This is the base plate. And how it works is, as you lean, you're rotating. You're rotating the deck, and as you rotate, the height changes. So a cam is anything that changes rotational motion into linear motion. So here we got rotational motion being turned into linear motion. And that is what compresses the spring, and that's what provides you the resistance. Okay, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, from a geek standpoint, it's awesome.
It's pretty cool.
It's a very fascinating mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that it's taking rotational forces and translating them into a linear force is quite impressive. From that perspective, I think it's
rather cool.
It's rather cool. It could be executed better if it was designed more specifically for longboarding.
Yes, that's my biggest concern with these trucks. These wave cams are, you can see how steep this angle is. Do you see how steep the sides of these of the cam is?
Mm-hmm.
So if they were to it's possible to go in and release different cam profiles to have shallower cams, you know, steeper cams. You can have progressive resistance. You can have linear resistance. You can all essentially program this information into the profile of your cam, and that's something that we do with the Other Planet cams, and it gives you a level of control that you can't really get any other way. But they don't. They have one design that was designed for a scooter, and it's on a longboard.
And did we also decide that in the application of a scooter, it would have one of these original trucks up front, and then just a trailing single wheel in the rear that did no turning whatsoever?
That was actually the original design.
So that's how it was designed to be used.
That was no, I don't know if I wouldn't go that far, but that was
okay.
In the original concept image on the designer's website. That's what it shows, and it actually shows a different model of what you see here. This truck, the current version of the original truck, aside from a few cosmetic changes on the hanger, was designed as the rear scooter truck. The scooter, it was for a K2 scooter called the K2 Kickboard, and it was designed by a Zeug design. I'll put a link and I'll put a bunch of pictures and stuff, make it all pretty. But yeah, it's some pretty cool stuff. It's actually a pretty interesting history. But K2 made this. The truck's design was originally designed in 2001. They came up with a K2 kickboard and a few other scooters that use this truck design. I guess it wasn't successful. They've stopped making them, and currently, Origninal leases the rights for the patent on the trucks. So they're basically they've done no engineering. They've put their logo on it.
They've rebranded.
They've rebranded an existing product, an existing non-longboard product as a longboard product. And that, I believe, is a lot of the reasons why options like the wave cam haven't been explored, and why there's a lot of things about the truck that are not in sync with longboarding. So, for instance, the one example would be the where'd the bolt go? This hex bolt is not the same 1/8 inch size that we use for the skate hardware. And that's the reason why, this is the biggest flaw, I think, about these truck designs. The wave cam, it fits in here, in order to adjust, so you're able to adjust the tightness of the spring by pre-tensioning it. And in order for that to work, this tab can slide in and out and have some travel. And if it slides out, as you can see, it sticks out from the bottom of the base plate. Let's stick it up against the concrete. There, you can see right there. So, in order for it to be adjustable on a skateboard deck, it has to have
a special riser.
It has to have either special riser pad or cut out into the deck.
To have the relief for that to be able to...
And this is, I mean, it's obviously was never anticipated to be used in that way, and it was adapted very poorly for that. Anyway.
Which is unfortunate, because the overall design and execution was very well thought out.
Yeah, so let me show you this. So I told you about how the bolt pivot trucks have a high degree of precision and very little slot. Let me show you this. So this is Riley's board. What do you call this one?
I've just been calling this the Tkp Setup.
Okay. And this actually got the original risers on here, and here you can see the cutout we're talking about. And that's what allows the tab to go in here. Anyway, so let's look at this. Ready for the top-down view? So I'm going to show you how much slop is in these trucks. So I'm going to hold the deck level, and I'm just going to push the axle and it's going to deflect. And, okay, here we go. So whatever motion we're seeing is all motion from slop in the truck. So it's deflecting quite a bit, right? And then with the original truck, which by the way has wider axles, so it's gonna look exaggerated because it's got a longer travel. Ready?
Jeez.
It's very little.
And again, you're not rolling the deck at all.
Yes. And the little slop that there is, actually most of it comes from this right here. So you could actually get a pop bottle and shim this up and remove basically all the slop. All right, so a lot of these problems with the original truck could be addressed with just a little bit tighter manufacturing. This especially. This is probably the ideal example. And just as a general measure of the attention to detail and just kind of the quality of manufacturing, I think a good test is just looking at the axle straightness. This is the original truck axle, and that's not particularly straight. And to compare it with, I've also got a this is some Indy. I think this is just an Indy truck. That is a narrower axle, so it's not as exaggerated. And that's decently straight. Here's a cast Ronin. That's pretty straight.
That's impressive.
And then here I've got an old other Planet. Yeah, I can just go ahead and rev the OP right up there. But the OP is pretty good. So yeah, just as a general measure, I mean the axle isn't that straight. The tolerances are very big. These holes are oversized. Everyone knows about this one. The wave cams crack. Everyone knows about this, right? But the wave cams can only put up with so much force before they split. And this is a widespread problem. It's the biggest practical flaw of the original truck. It'll crack along this narrow port here and here, and the narrow part here and here. I think it's probably just mostly this top one because it's got so less material.
And once that happens, the entire function of the truck,
you've lost your resistance. So that could be addressed with a number of different ways. With a stronger material, a glass-filled nylon should hold up a lot better. But it can also be addressed by the cam design. Remember how I told you about how steep this cam was? Well, a shallower cam would have more space at this gap. This one's a little better to look at.
So at that highest stress point,
would be stronger. So there's a number of different ways to address this, and they've done very, very, very little to address this problem.
Now we're going to start talking a little bit about riding impressions and some of the characteristics of the skateboard truck itself. So, you said that you actually enjoy riding the skateboard truck. Why is that?
So I like them because they feel precise, they're responsive, they have little slop. They've got a high pivot angle of about 50 degrees, which I don't necessarily like that. I think that's too much. But it feels like they're legitimately working and they're working well. The one thing I dislike, in fact, I hate it, is the resistance of the trucks. I feel as though the original truck could be improved by eliminating resistance altogether because the resistance is that bad.
When I would ride the truck, it felt like the resistance was either on or off, and there was no happy medium.
The impression I had was that the way the resistance was progressing and worked was designed around a way not in which the human body worked when riding a skateboard. It felt completely unnatural, and it worked against you, and definitely did not work with you. And the sad thing is, you know, it has everything it needs to be in order to be a great truck, in order to be an incredible truck, but it's just kind of been dead in the water since its launch. And it's just kind of a shame, I think.
But it has a lot to offer in the ways of mechanisms and understanding the operation of skateboard trucks. So, now that we've scattered this skateboard truck, I hope you guys have gained some insightful information about the operation of this product. And this is Longboard Technology, over and out.